Hello and welcome to Clock Spinning, the podcast of Magic's history as told card by card. I'm Austin, and with me, as always, is my co-host creature, Connor. How are you today, Connor?
I'm good. I like being a co-host creature.
I wanted to
I
read your
forgot
little
about our
text
little.
box.
Yeah, I forgot about our text boxes.
It's weird we're not legendary. I just realized. It's kind of weird.
We could change that. We could make that happen.
Host creature is kind of passive. It's like there's a larva or parasite that's kind of
Yeah.
taken hold.
Well, maybe maybe there
Maybe.
is.
Maybe there is. Who knows? You'll never know, audience. You'll know when we're replaced by our higher forms. Maybe today's the
Yeah,
day.
maybe. I don't
Okay.
think so though, because we're not talking about higher forms. We're talking about, I think, fairly low forms of creatures called orgs.
Holy cow, that
Um,
segue. Wow. Oof, hold on to your hats, people.
just totally on the fly here. Um, we are talking about all four org creatures in Magic the Gathering. All of them red, all of them 6/6s, and I'm excited.
All them four-armed. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, the most important feature.
They're all
Uh,
basically green Machamps. Well, actually, one of them is
yeah,
not. We'll get to that.
yeah. We'll get there.
There's like two
So
of
we're
them.
just gonna go
Okay, I'm
through.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're just gonna go through all four orgs, rate them as we usually do on our scale of S being the best and F obviously being the worst. And we're just going to talk about four orgs. So if you know what these are, hopefully you enjoy the ride. If you don't know what orgs are, hopefully this will be a great learning experience for you, and we'll just have a good time with it.
You're in the right place if you don't know what orgs are. We don't normally like to say things like this, but if you don't know it, you could be found out as a fake fan. And this is your chance to kind of get right.
We're here to help.
Just an extra negative framing. All right. Should we dive into our very first org, Connor? Journeying back,
Yes.
what is this, like 20 years old almost? Hella old.
Oh, older than that. This is 30 years old now.
Oh,
This org
okay.
is org. Yeah, so Austin needs a reality
I'm
check
gonna have a
for
drink of
which
tea while you
decade we're
work
in.
through this. Okay, take it away.
All right, so our first org is org. uh, which is a summon org in the Fallen Empire's lingo. This is 3 red for a 6/6 creature with trample, and I'm going to read the card as printed. Org may not attack if opponent controls an untapped creature of power greater than 2. Org cannot be assigned to block any creature of power greater than 2. And then the flavor text is it's bigger than it thinks. Now, I think you have a lot more to say about the competitive history of this card than I do, which is pretty interesting. But I do just love this card on so many levels. Like the central mechanic is very cool to me and almost unique. I just found one other card that does this. It's a card called Goblin Mutant, printed in Ice Age, and it's basically just a smaller, wimpier version of Org. I think it's like
The deep cut. Wow.
4
Okay.
mana for a 5/3. It's got the same artist, Daniel Gellon, did Org and Goblin Mutant. So it's just those two cards that do this. Um, and the art, I think, the art will have to save for an entirely separate discussion from the printed text because it is something else.
Yeah, we can go to the art in a second. Yeah, as Connor said, one of the fun things about this card is that it actually has a pretty strong competitive history, which to modern Magic eyes is almost unbelievable. Looking at this, like just kind of big beater with a really significant drawback. But actually, this won a Worlds Type 2 event in Worlds 97. I was on my phone there. If you noticed that I was extremely rude because someone shared this with me on a Discord. I wanted to credit them, but I'm blanking on their name. So sorry to whoever gave me this information. I'll put a link in the deck list, but Jun Yon Kim piloted this in kind of a red deck wins, or a Sly as it was known back then, shell to a first place finish at Worlds 97 in Seattle. That top 8 was like half red deck wins. And I think it's kind of cool to think that such a bad card could be that good. And it really illustrates like Red Deck Wins or Sly was one of the big, I think, level ups in competitive Magic. Like realizing, you know what, you can have like literally, let me read you some cards from another deck in this top 8. One of the other decks in the top 8 had Force of Will, Dark Ritual, Swords to Plowshares, Counterspell, Stasis. Enlightened Tutor. These things were all standard legal at the time, and a bunch of other like crazy broken cards. And yet, somehow that deck took only fifth place, and Org took first place. And I think that speaks to the power of just like curving out and playing a big dumb creature on every turn. And the creatures were very dumb. Like the other creatures in this deck are things like Iron Claw Orc, Viashino Sandstalker, Brothers of Fire, Sukata Lancer. These are really medium at best creatures, and yet that deck was able to take World's Win, which I think is very cool. Kind of an illustration of the power of like mana curves and just like doing things on every single turn of the game. Another fun thing about this event, this tournament was covered on ESPN and in Sports Illustrated because I think at this point there was still a thought that Magic would be a sport or something. And I'm going to link this in the video, but there's unfortunately not like, as far as I can tell, footage of the whole tournament, but there is like a 6-minute sizzle reel on YouTube, and it is extremely worth watching because it's trying to like bring the ESPN viewer into this already incredibly complicated game. And I don't know how anyone would have followed it, but it basically opens with this. Players can spend anywhere from 2 hours to create their deck to weeks or even months. Players start with land in their decks. Creatures are very important. Like they're just trying to like fact up all this stuff, and I cannot imagine anyone
It's
heard all
such a good
that.
line.
Yeah, creatures are very important. I love that
I
too.
love that.
But I can't imagine anyone heard like this avalanche of random facts. It was like, oh, I see. Org beating the deck with Swords to Plowshares is quite interesting. I understand all the nuance. But anyway, this showed up in Pro Worlds 97. It also showed up in some Pro Tour decks in 95, 96. So this card has a like kind of storied competitive history, despite being objectively kind of terrible. I don't know much about competitive Magic back then, but I wonder if part of that is that creatures like were bad and creature decks were bad. So this drawback isn't really a drawback now that I think about it. If you're playing against the like Stasis, Arcane Denial, like I'm actually checking, does this card have a creature in it? No. So for like a lot of the control decks, I think we're just straight up creatureless. So it's actually fine. Org can get in there, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I kind of love that. It's just like a big pile of mediocre creatures figuring out the one weakness of the control deck that it has. No, no creatures.
Well, and it's still a thing now, right? Like I feel like in cube, like in my cube, for
Yeah.
instance, I'm constantly getting my butt handed to me or handing somebody else's butt to them with like, I'm going to avoid all the card draw. I'm going to avoid all the synergy, and I'm just going to draft red 1 drops and red and white 2 drops and 3 drops. And like that deck is the best deck in my cube. I think it's the best deck in Vintage Cube most iterations. Like 30 years later, that is still one of the best decks in Magic, and it's still routinely underestimated because it just doesn't have the like sex appeal of like Swords to Plowshares, Stasis, Force of Will.
Yeah. You're saying that Org doesn't have sex appeal?
I think he's actually. Let's talk about the art. I think the art. I mean, look at the loincloth. Who knows what that thing's hiding?
Yeah, great point.
um, I think.
Oh,
What do you think of this art? I think this art is like fantastic. I think this art is just super excellent.
I love it. It feels so old school Magic. It has this sort of like perfect I don't want to call it a bland color palette, but just like a sort of brownness to everything that
Mm.
is really
It's Earth
appealing in a way
Tony.
that it's earth tony. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In a way that the time spiral cards we looked at in our last crack a pack episode, the brownie earth tones of those art pieces did not work anywhere near as well as this org does. And it's just like funny and fun to look at.
Yeah, I think that like the kind of like sort of muscliness of the org and like fat, like it's like this muscle fat thing that's kind of funny. Like he's just this big bruisey guy. He's got these horrible little hairs running down his back, and then there's this guy, this running away guy. I don't know what he is, but I love this creature like absolutely losing his mind with fear, trying to get away.
Yeah,
It's very funny.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that little guy's deal is, but I really like him too. Like the mouth is super weird, like doesn't really fit with the face
Yeah,
of the little guy.
I wasn't able to turn up any history on like why orgs have 4 arms. If anyone knows of anything, let us know. I don't know if that was like the direction given to Daniel Gellin, or he just thought it would be funny to give this thing 4 arms, and then this creature type was born. Be
Yep.
interesting to know that.
Yep.
I wasn't
Um
familiar. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like I really appreciate the art taken together with the mechanics and the flavor text. It's one of those combinations, it makes me wonder like what came first. Like, was
Yeah.
the card come up with, and then the art was commissioned to match a creature that doesn't like that thinks it's much smaller and weaker than it really is, or was the flavor text just kind of put in there to match an effect that was given to them, and then the art is just sort of in like some creature roaring with a little guy running away from it, like one of those ones that makes me wonder how all those pieces came together.
Yeah, it's one of those really nice kind of like triple, I don't know, triple thread or something. Like they all work together really nicely, right? The flavor text supports the
Yep.
mechanics, which supports the art. Like all of them feel like they were designed kind of in one go in a way that I think is really, really nice. And I always love these magic mechanical moments where the mechanic like directly evokes the flavor, like that this thing is afraid to interact with even like slightly large creatures. Like it's pretty cool to me that the mechanics of it, the basic mechanics of the card game can bring that to life just through this card.
Yeah, yeah. One of the really special things about Magic.
Yeah. I wasn't really familiar with Daniel Gellin before this. The name like rang some kind of bell, so I looked him up. He's got a lot of cool pieces. Goblin Snowman, which is one of my all-time favorite pieces of art, Savannah Lions, Goblin Matron, Strip Mine. So he's done only like 60 odd pieces, but a lot of bangers in there. Obviously Goblin Snowman like takes the cake as the best Daniel Gellin piece in my opinion.
Yep, yep. I mean, it made it into the thumbnail for
That's
one of
right.
our episodes, so it's got to be good, right?
This was on the time shifted sheet for Time Spiral, which I don't think I realized until this. I don't know if I ever pulled one, which makes me sad because I would have been very pleased.
Hmm.
I kind of want to have all four printings of this for no real reason. Like, obviously, this is in Fallen Empires, which was a disastrous failed set, so you can still 30 years later get this rare card for 38 cents, which I think is kind of wonderful. There's a Pro Tour printing because this was in Pro Tour decks. So you can get this in gold border. There's a 5th edition printing and the Time Spiral time shifted one. So you can get this in 4 different frames, which I think is kind of wonderful.
4 frames for 4 orgs.
For 4 orgs, and you can do all of that for less than $2.
Boom.
That seems like a no-brainer, actually. Just collect these. One
So
more.
what do you
Oh
give this
yeah.
guy? Oh, you got one more?
Oh no,
Go
just
for it.
I have one more quote from the World's 97 ESPN coverage, which was Magic is being compared to a combo of chess, poker, and bridge, which I think is not bad. The bridge one is interesting in there because I don't feel like bridge has any mind share. Like I honestly, bridge is just a game that I know exists, and that's as far as I could. I couldn't tell you anything
Uh-huh.
about the game. You play it
That's
in
that's as far as I could go.
like two pairs, right? Is that bridge?
Genuinely don't know.
Do you remember the thing in the newspaper? We're just going off. I'm going off like an old man now. But do you remember that newspapers used to have like bridge games, like with the comics? Like at least the Oregonian newspaper we grew up with. Remember, there was the comics, there was the horoscope, the crossword, and then in a corner of that page was like bridge strategy. It was like a little like 2 column, eighth height, like east and west are doing this, and so south should do that. Do you remember that? No, okay, don't worry. Don't
Just
worry
like a
about it.
little just little like bridge strategy
It was like
quips.
there'd be a scenario and they talk through it, I think. And maybe there was a letter writing component, but it was like apparently enough of a market that every day someone would be opening the newspaper to go like check their horoscope and read the bridge advice for the day, which I guess is kind of analogous to what I do with Magic and Reddit now that I think about it. So maybe it's not weird. Um,
Huh.
okay,
Boy, I
anyway,
would love to see that
we're
now.
way off the reservation. What do you have this rated as, Connor?
I give Oregon A. I feel like this is just a solid card with amazing art, and just it's a fun guy, fun old guy.
I respect that. I gave him a B. I don't know why. I guess I'm just was in a harsh mood, but I can't defend it, but I don't want to change it. So let's just move on. I feel a little ashamed.
Okay,
All right.
a
Uh
shameful B.
Shameful B. All right. Next up we have Trained Org from Starter. Is this Starter 99? Yeah, Starter 99. Not much to read here. 6 and an R for a 6/6 beast. Ew. Later errata to an org as it should have been. That's it. There is nothing else to read on this card. So I'll just read the flavor text now. All orgs know how to kill. Training teaches them what to kill. Kind of funny. I don't think it's quite as funny as the previous one, but I think it's a little funny. There is not much to say about this card, except weirdly, this completely uninspired boring card was featured in a Magic the Gathering TV commercial, which, like, of all the things to bring into a TV commercial, this is such an odd choice. I will link the commercial. If somehow you've never seen it, you should check it out. It is a total 90s time capsule. I personally find it so cringy that I had to turn the volume down as I watched it because it's this total, like, kind of Sega attitude era, like, really irritating
Wait,
thing. Go ahead.
were you like continually turning the volume down as it went on? It just got quieter and quieter
I could do a
as your
graph.
tolerance for it dropped?
So the premise of the commercial, if you haven't seen it, is like Wizards tests every Magic card in a real, like, fantasy combat environment, which I guess is meant to be the goofier premise or something. And they're supposed to test the org against the goblin today, but the goblin's not in the office. What do we do? Let's get Bob from accounting. And then Bob from accounting is sent in to basically fight a Rancor. It's just the Rancor scene from Star Wars.
It
And
really is.
the org beats up Bob, and then that's the end of the commercial. But you could, like, chart my volume because it started okay, and then when they said Bob from accounting, I turned it down to like one notch on my Mac OS volume thing because I just think that joke is so lazy and dumb. And then when the org was beating up Bob, that's fine. That's just silliness. Okay,
That's
we're
just
just
fun.
we're just going everywhere today. Anyway, somehow Wizards had found that the original org was popular in market research or something, or maybe it was like the only really unique creature type, right? Because, like, you go back to Magic 99, like, what else is there, right? Like, you
Yeah.
haven't invented anything yet. A Phyrexian, you're not really going to put, like, a Phyrexian in a commercial. That would be just gross. So I guess for
I
some
kind
reason
of
they
like
pick
to
an
see that
orc.
though.
But so they pick this org. They're going to air the commercial, but that means they need an org in the beginner set. And they decided that the original org was too mechanically complex for all this stuff. So they subbed in a different beginner friendly org. And that's what we ended up with this thing, which is just the dumbest thing ever. And Visordrix, which, if you haven't seen it, is 6 and a blue, 6/6 beast. It's just this card, but blue. And these were the starter cards for like 3 years. Like, I think we got a starter set for 7th edition that had these stinkers in it.
Yeah. We definitely trained org and Visordrix were definitely part of our very earliest exposure to Magic. Um, yeah, that commercial is incredible. This card is not. It really bothers me that they made it a beast, and I don't know the full story behind the starter decks or like the portal sets, like how
They're full of this kind of
what
gross
went into the dumbing down.
oversimplification.
Yeah, but it's like is it's the creature type are multiple creature types really the thing that are going to trip people up and make it hard for them to get into Magic? They're going to look at this they're going to look at an org and say like, oh, it's an org, is that different from a beast? Like that's not the thing that is is going to make people stumble if they're trying to get into this game. So it's like just dumbing it down in a way that is not actually helpful to anyone.
Yeah, dumb it down in a way that's not helpful, I think, is the general ethos of the starter sets and the portal sets. Like,
Yeah.
I was just looking.
Yep.
So this wasn't printed in the starter 99 boosters. Thank goodness. You couldn't pull this as your rare. It was in like a pair of decks, like two 40 card decks. These decks are really weird. I'll link them in the show notes. One of them is a blue white, I guess you'd say, Flyers deck, which kind of makes sense. The one that Trained Org is in is black, red, and green. I guess they felt they needed all 5 colors. So you are trying to rock a Grixis mana base. And if you're wondering if there's any fixing, the answer is no. You're rocking 6 forests, 6 mountains, and 6 swamps. Just a straight up triple, straight down the middle mana base. And I just looked through every creature. I won't read them all, but I will tell you, there is not a single creature in this deck that is anything more than French vanilla. There are, let me check my numbers. There are 10 unique creatures in this. 8 of them are vanilla, and 2 of them have flying, and that's it. That's all you get in this starter deck. And it's kind of amazing that led anyone to want to go
Really?
on to play Magic, because that's so boring.
Yeah. Oh, that must be we should play a game with those decks sometime.
Okay, we can air it. I
Dibs
think
on the
that'd be
white
kind
blue
of fun.
flyers.
Can I share the strangest part of these starter decks with you that I just noticed? So there are
Please.
3 rare creatures in this Grixis starter deck. Trained Org, which sort of makes sense if you squint at it because at least it's big. The other 2 are Mon's Goblin Raiders, which, just to remind you, is a red 1/1 with no abilities. And even more egregiously, Goblin Hero, which is 2R for a 2/2 with no abilities. both those have the rare symbol on them. And I know it's a precon and that doesn't mean anything, but what the heck? I don't understand that at all.
Well, you got to put a shiny star on some of the cards so that players
But
feel
why
like they
Goblin
want something
Hero?
when they see them. You got to pick something in the starter deck.
I guess I think Bog Imp is more
Oh
worthy of
man,
a gold star. This is egregious. Or Lava Axe. Anyway,
yeah,
I won't belabor this, but these decks are stinkers. Wizards should be ashamed, I think, of these.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
I'm also not a fan of this art. The seventh edition art was the one that I think we were first introduced to
should we flip back and
back
forth
in the
here?
day.
Or let's just start with this
Yeah.
one and then we'll flip to the other one. So I think this
Okay.
we should almost rate these separately based on
Mm.
the
I mean,
art,
there's basically nothing else to rate here, so
right? Uh
sure.
well, you go first. Why don't you like this art? Because I also think this art is terrible.
I don't know. Like it's they're on the two pieces are honestly not that different, but this is just so boring. It's like you took a relatively nice mountain, like the land type mountain. You took that and then you slapped a sticker of this big kind of chunky green goblin on top of it, and you can't even really see that there are four arms there. Like that
You
is
really got to look deep or
the
closely.
distinctive feature of the org is four arms, and you really, I mean, you gotta. This is the kind of thing where like I could see myself having this card for 5 years and playing it. Hopefully, I wouldn't play it for 5 years, but I'd play
It's
this
still
card
the
and just
bedrock
never
of your
notice.
deck and extended. As long as it's extended legal, I'm coming with trade org.
I need it in my deck. Yeah, just like it really bothers me that there's nothing distinctive or orgy about this other than I guess the big bat ears and the name.
I'm
Not even
surprised,
creature type.
given your hatred of symmetry, that the like completely dead on straight perspective doesn't also bother you. Like
That too.
it's so static the way he's just staring straight
Yep.
into the
Yep.
not even a
No
teeny
sense of
angle.
movement at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they thought that the starter deck players couldn't handle
They couldn't handle
artistic
perspective.
complexity either. Or yeah, they can't handle perspective.
We don't want to confuse him. It's already confusing enough that this guy's got four. Maybe that's why we can't see his other two arms. It'd be too shocking and jarring to realize there's creatures in this game with four arms. Too
That's too
scary.
much.
Okay, so let's rate the starter one first, and then we can flip over to the seventh one. I think the starter one is actually just an F. The more I think about, I had it as a D here, but it's just like, I mean, what is there to like? The flavor text is okay, I guess. Everything else is like, what a stinker.
Yeah, I was rating them collectively, but this one on its own, straight up F.
Okay, let's go look at the seventh edition one because that's a little bit better. New flavor text here. I guess I'll read that one too. That arm's for bashing. That one's for smashing. That one's for scratching. And that one, I don't know what that one's for. Org trainer. So I guess we can compare here the flavor text and the art. Why don't you go first?
I like this flavor text better. I hate the starter 99 one. All orgs know how to kill. Training teaches them what to kill.
Really, I think
That
that one's
feels like
funny.
no, I don't think that's funny at all. It's just like it feels like it's taken straight out of the Bob from Accounting commercial where it's like this like really over the top 90s like this is so awesome kind of attitude. Like it's this bad
Hmm,
boy attitude that it's trying to bring to this just
that's interesting.
absolute
You don't read
dog
that as
of an art.
ironic. You read that as more like,
I
these
mean,
are
it's
all
hard
born
to read it.
killers.
Yeah, it's hard to read it as ironic in the context.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
yeah, this one's at least fun. Also, it acknowledges the four arms thing, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
And you can see forearms here in the art.
yep, there that you can see the two big ones and the two kind of creepy vestigial ones. This one also is the first. The last two orgs we're going to talk about, I find both kind of quite creepy and unsettling, and this one I think is the first of these that I find pretty unsettling to look at. He's
Mm.
also actually dead on straight. I just realized, but I don't mind it here. I think because there's so much motion and like his rippling
Yeah.
muscle and his like slavering jaws, slathering. What is that word? You know that word? Something slavering
I always thought it
jaws,
was like slavering, but I don't know.
slavering,
Slavering. Yeah,
slavering.
let's say he's slobbering.
Yeah, he's slobbering and slavering,
He's
slobbering.
definitely doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I I've already said a lot more about trained org than it deserves. We
It
both
deserves.
have.
All right. I think that brings it up to a D for me, though, at least.
Yeah, D overall for me.
D overall. All right, that's fair. What does this go for in foil 7th edition? Holy cow! Because 7th edition foils are always very expensive because there were
Whoa.
so few. This will set you back $18 in foil. It's almost worth it.
It
Christmas is
looks
coming
good
up,
on
Connor.
Scryfall. Yeah,
Um,
I'll keep this in mind.
thank you. All right, we'll call it a D. Should we move on?
Okay. Yes. So next up we have Soulgorger Orgg. 3 RR for a 6/6, as all orgs must be. This is a nightmare org. It has trample. When it comes into play, you lose all but 1 life. And when it leaves play, you gain life equal to the life you lost when it came into play. Um, I feel like we have to start with the art here just to get it out of the way. No, are you shaking your head? No, you don't want to
No,
talk
no,
about
we
it
can
yet?
start with.
You're
I
not
just
ready?
don't like. It's very unsettling to me. But go ahead.
Yeah. It is deeply, deeply unpleasant. I think as far as I can tell, the arms of this org, all 4 of them are basically tentacles with mouths on the ends.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Um,
It's quite hard
yeah,
to tell, but I think so.
it is hard to tell. That on its own is bad enough, but then because this skin color of this org is just uniform all the way through, like I can't tell where one arm starts and another one, but like where it starts and ends, and which tentacle is associated with which limb here, and it's all kind of like blending together in this sort of early AI image way that I find just really
Hold
uncomfortable and
on.
unpleasant to look
This
at.
is very like an AI kind of confusion of like, yeah,
Yeah,
green beast with tentacle arms, and it's like, well, where are all the tentacles starting and ending? I don't know. Don't worry about it too much.
yeah, it's like they're just the idea of the mouth tentacle arms is bad enough, but then the way that they just kind of like flow into and through each other is just makes it even worse.
So is he meant to be sort of ensorceling this lady? Like she seems kind of into it, right? She seems sort of like bewitched or dazed or something, but he's not
I
giving like
Yeah, it's almost like they're
clever.
dancing,
What?
right?
What
Right?
is it? You mean because she's kind of
Yeah,
like she's about to like
she's
spin around or something, like in a
yeah,
waltz?
she looks like she's spinning and he's just holding her in his embrace.
I think this is a totally new interpretation of Soulgorger Org.
Yeah.
Is she the planeswalker and he's her son? I don't know. I see. I guess he's sucking the life out, right? That's what's happening here. He's sucking the life out of her.
I guess it looks like he's just sort of holding her tenderly. The
Really?
more I the
I
more I
don't.
look at it,
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
seem
I don't see
tender to
any
me. I
soul
don't feel
gorging.
like he's very tender. He seems like a
He doesn't
bad chap
but
to me.
maybe that's why it's so disconcerting for me is he's holding her very tenderly, but he does not seem like a good guy.
Okay. Um. Yeah. So we talked about our discomfort with the art. Do you think it's effective art?
No,
Me neither. Why?
it's not.
Because it's
It's
clearly had a reaction from us.
To me, it's not. It is not giving org, and nothing
Yes.
about it is tied to the like effect or the orginess of any other creature of this type that we've seen before.
This is what I dislike about it. And I know you have some notes on the nightmare cycle, so maybe you can take us into that in a second. But like to me, the essence of or if there can be an essence of cards where there's only 4 of them and one of them is a 7 mana six vanilla 6/6, like the essence of these is like big dumb beat stick, and I just don't think
Yep.
this feels like that. Now we're bleeding into mechanics, but the art too for me is just like we only had 2 previous orgs like in the history of Magic, and we're riffing on them in this like
Hmm.
turning them into tentacle monster. Like I don't know, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It just irritates. I don't know why. It kind of irritates me to an irrational degree.
It's no that I think that's a good point that like this is a creature type that's barely made an impression on the game, and we're trying to like now spin it into this nightmare version. Just doesn't work.
Yeah, like turning a dragon, like there's World Gorger Dragon is one of the other nightmares. Turning that into a like nightmare beast, that makes sense to me. But like doing it
Yeah.
with an org, it's like, well, what even is that? It doesn't have the resonance.
Yeah. Yep. 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 So speaking of World Gorger Dragon, that's the only other one of these cards that I was familiar with at all. I know almost nothing about Judgment as a set. But turns out there are 9 cards in this cycle, I guess you would call it. There are 3 red cards that are something Gorger. There's Soulgorger Orgg, World Gorger Dragon, and then a really forgettable common called Spellgorger Barbarian. And then there are 6 blue cards that all have Wormfang in the name. And all 9 of these cards have some sort of, when this enters the battlefield, bad thing happens to you. When it leaves the battlefield, good thing happens to you. Um,
And
so
when we
they're
say
not
bad
all
thing,
as
like they're all really bad. Like I don't want to read
yeah,
them all, but like Spellgorger Barbarian has one of the least big downsides, and the downside is like when it enters, discard a card at random, then draw a card when it leaves. Wormfang Behemoth is exile your hand until it leaves. Like all of these have
yeah,
really big, meaningful crazy kind of downside. Wormfang
yeah.
Manta is you skip your next turn is the downside. Okay,
And you
sorry,
get
go
an
ahead.
extra turn after that when it dies.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Wormfang Behemoth because I was looking at these 9 cards, and that's the only one where I feel like you couldn't even come up with some like any sort of conceivable combo that would be good here, like Soulgorger Org. There are combos that you can take advantage of with setting yourself or someone else to 1 life and then getting that all back. World Gorger Dragon, you can imagine, a bunch of like your permanents leaving the board and then all coming back at once. That could
Very
lead to some
powerful in
cool
vintage
combo
for like a
stuff.
decade. Yep.
There you go. Wormfang Behemoth, when it comes into play, but it's just a 5 mana 5/5, no keywords, no abilities or anything. When it comes into play, you exile all cards in your hand. When it comes back into play, then you get them back into your hand.
I've been trying to
Like
think
this
like
just
a lot of these are hard. Like Wormfang Manta, right?
yeah,
Manta with skip your next turn. I'm actually curious from a rules perspective. Like if you flicker that a bunch, I assume the net is it does nothing. No, you end up missing your turn, right? Because it leaves and you get a turn, and then it comes back and you skip it. Like how do you? There's I don't can't even think of a way to break the Manta. I think almost that one's also a 7 mana 6/1 flyer, by the way, just for the records. I don't
yeah.
know
Well,
what we're
that
doing
one,
there.
that one, it's almost like you could imagine that it's meant to die. But yeah, like how
But
does
you
that
can't
work
have it
rules
leave the
wise? If it
battlefield multiple times. So like how do you take advantage of that?
yeah,
It's always got to enter before it leaves, right? Like, so how do you break? Is there a way to break the symmetry? If anyone knows, let us know. I don't know of one.
yeah, it's confusing me. That's Wormfang Manta. If anyone wants to figure out how that card could work for us,
Yeah, we'll link all of them. It's a weird cycle. Like, there's 9 of these in total, and I just checked.
yeah,
Judgment has
across 2
140.
colors.
Yeah, there's 143 cards in Judgment, so that means, what is that? That is like fully 6% of the set. Like more than 1 out of 20 cards in Judgment are in this cycle, which is seems like an insane level of commitment to this particular set of effects.
Yeah, they all do have tentacle mouths though, so that's another unifying trait for all 9 of these cards.
It's cool. It's cool, I
If we
guess.
get really
Yep.
desperate, we can do an episode on the tentacle mouth creatures of judgment.
Yeah, this one has some kind of fun combo potential. I can think of 2 ways. One is when you gain life, or when you gain the life, if you have some like life gain doubling effect, you would gain back double the life. So if you could like flicker this with a life gain doubler, you could gain a lot of life in red. Kind of cute, I
Mhm.
guess. This is also really big in
Notably, a really good thing to do.
no,
Magic
it's a
is gain
terrible
a
thing
bunch
to
of
do.
life
it's
in
also
red.
it's also big in Beamtown Bullies in EDH, which is a red, black, green. My brain just deserted me. Sultai. Sultai? No.
Jund, right?
Jund. Jeez. Oh my god. Good. Oh my good. Oh my god.
Oh my good.
Where are my
It's
words?
Jund.
And it's a Jund commander who notably says tap target opponent whose turn it is puts target non-legendary creature from your graveyard onto the battlefield under their control. So that's cute. You can set your opponent's life total to 1, then kill them. That's very fun.
Mhm.
One other weird thing I realized before we get to rating, this is an uncommon, which also strikes me as an insane effect to have
Oh
on an
yeah,
uncommon. Like, imagine getting 2 of these in draft. Like, what a weird card to have an uncommon
that kind of makes me like it more. Actually, I don't
because
know
it's just
why.
so strange.
Yeah, it just like feels so. Everything about it just feels so mismatched.
It really does. That gets to my rating. I have this as like an F, which is very harsh. But I think the main reason is I just don't like your combo Be Smart card as an org. I just don't think these should go together. I think org should be for like 12-year-old Timmies, like I was when I opened my first org that we'll get to in a second. And you just hit your opponent with the 6/6. I think this cleverness really like just genuinely rubs me the wrong way on this card, which I accept
Yeah.
is a little irrational.
I've got it as at a D because I almost wonder like if how much it really was intended as a combo card. Just looking at everything else in the cycle, like
Mm.
World Gorger Dragon is like a 6 mana 7/7 flying trampler with this huge downside. This is like a 5 mana 6/6 trampler with a big downside. I guess in theory, the blue ones are strong for blue creatures. One of them is basically a grizzly bear with a downside, but like in theory, they're just sort of like big Timmy-ish cards for a low mana cost with this drawback, which makes me feel like it's not maybe Soulgorger Orgg isn't trying to be as clever as we're giving it credit for. I don't know
All
why that
right.
means I like it more, but I'll just give it a D and call
Yeah,
it
we're
good.
being weirdly hard on these, even though I think we both like this creature type. But these middle two to me are slightly stinkers. It's kind of bookended by two cards
Yeah.
I love, and then these two are like, whatever.
Yeah. Really, we're just doing this episode for the first and the last card.
That's
Just
completely
dumping on
true.
the other ones.
All right, should we go to
All
that
right.
last card?
Yeah, let's take it home.
All right, our final card, Butcher Org, 4 RRR. What a great mana cost. 6/6 creature org. You may divide Butcher Org's combat damage as you choose among defending player and or any number of creatures they control. And the flavor text, it can kill you with 3 arms tied behind its back. Okay. This was my first favorite Magic card. I don't know that it was like the first cards I opened. I don't remember exactly when I got it, but this is from like Onslaught Block when we started playing. And I remember when I saw this, I was like, holy cow. The things I like about this, it's very large, or I liked then, that I still like. It's very large. It's very scary. I find this Kev Walker art incredibly intense and pretty freaky. Um, and I think the effect, we'll talk about it more in a second, is literally unique. There is no other card in Magic that does this exact effect. And it's actually a very powerful effect, especially in the kind of terrible kitchen table Magic we were playing back then. Like, just like divvy up your damage however you want. Like, once I wrapped my head around that, which was actually quite confusing, like, this is even if you're not doing any of the crazy combo stuff we can talk about in a second, just the power to like divvy up damage however you want really messes with your opponent's blocks. This is going to win a lot of games where two Timmies are like slamming grizzly bears into each other. Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
basically how we started.
That's basically all we did. It was like Butcher Org versus Crub Shell Crab. Who's gonna win? Um,
Yeah.
Butcher Org. Butcher Org's gonna win that one.
Yep.
Anyway, I have more to say, but like, yeah, Connor, what's your basic temp check on Butcher Org?
Yeah, I mean, but like first off, it's wild to me that this effect is still completely unique because it feels like something that should be more widespread. Like it's a concept that I don't know, just seems like it should be more common in Magic, like the idea of being able to spread the damage around in whatever way you want to. So it's like really surprising to me that it's unique. And as I'm rereading it now, it's also sort of weirdly ambiguous in a way I don't think I've noticed before. Like it doesn't say anything like when Butcher Org attacks, you can assign its combat damage in this way. It's just like you can divide its combat damage. When there's nothing saying like that this happens when Butcher Org attacks and becomes blocked or anything like that. It's
I'm
just you
quite
can
sure we
divide
played
combat
it the
damage.
other way actually when we started playing Magic, because I think
Yeah,
the
so it's
word
like
defending player is doing a lot of work here, and I don't think I
yeah,
understood what that meant
it's
at
doing
that age.
a lot of work, and it's kind of ambiguous work because, like, if you're new to the game, like we were, you know, it would not be hard to misread this as saying that like you can block with Butcher Org and just like deal 6 damage to your opponent by blocking their creature, which
As
is
the person
I'm
who
sure
owned
is
the
what
Butcher Org, that was my preferred interpretation. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, exactly. And like it's not that far like that's not a crazy reading with the way that this is worded. And the Oracle text nowadays is basically the same. Like there's no real clarity to it. So that was kind of striking to me.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
art here I think is totally sick. I think you probably have more to say on this as our sort of art guru, but I like that we have like the same basic org like characteristics are carried forward: forearms, green, giant mouth, kind of crazy bat ears. But here it's just imbued with this like savage killerness that is actually not at all funny anymore. It's like this is a genuinely pretty scary monster.
Yeah. I mean, it's like terrifying. And this was really striking to me. Like we basically started playing. I can't remember exactly what set was like the newest one at the time. I don't know if it was Onslaught or maybe Legions. I feel like Legions was the first one where we
Yeah,
like
somewhere
went
in
out
there.
and got a starter deck. Um, but seeing something like Butcher Org when what we had been playing up to that point was Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! There's this sort of like unfiltered savagery to Butcher Org that like really made an impression on me. Like he's got these massive fangs, there's blood flying out of his mouth. It looks like his face is kind of covered in blood, like he's just like been ripping apart some creature that's just outside of the frame. I'm like, that is a big step up from Blue Eyes White Dragon or Pikachu, like to go to
Yeah.
this thing. And it really like really made a mark on me.
Felt very grown up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And a
forearms have
little
gone.
scary.
Yeah, the forearms have gone from kind of a joke here to like it's kind of like they seem like they have a purpose. Like, there's this debate of like what did T-Rex use its little arms for? Was it for like holding down prey, or was it for mating, or were they vestigial? Like in this case,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like they were there to like pin down his prey as he like rips them apart with his horrible giant teeth or something. Like because one of
Yeah.
them's like kind of dripping blood, the one in the shadow. Kev
Oh
Walker's
yeah.
done like 500 pieces of art for Magic across almost the entire history of the game. And so he's got plenty of bangers, but for me, this is one of my all-time favorite Kev Walker pieces. This one, and what is the dragon? He's got a dragon and Scourge that I'm equally in love with. I'll look up the name. You know what I'm talking about? It's
Oh,
also like
I kn
a million
I'm seeing
mana.
the art, like, I'm seeing it in my mind's eye right now, I just cannot
Dragon
remember.
Tyrant. Is it a
That's
Dragon
right.
Tyrant?
I
Yeah,
think so.
Dragon Tyrant, another total Kev Walker banger. But yeah, this piece,
Yeah.
I'm not always a fan of this like photorealistic, like badass, strong kind of art that was big at this time in Magic's history. But here, I think it totally rocks.
Yeah. I think with, like, the really, um, sharp contrast between the, like, light and dark areas
Yeah,
and the fact that it's not like he's humanoid, but he's clearly not a human and has this, like, massive head and no neck. Like, it makes the sort of hyper realistic muscle bound aspect of this art like scary as opposed to kind of goofy, which is I think at least now how it comes across on like if you just got some like big macho human man standing in the frame.
like Kamal Pit Fighter to me just looks
Yes,
silly.
exactly. Yeah.
This guy
Yeah.
still looks
Butcher
cool.
Org. Butcher Org is cool and very scary.
Yeah, this guy's like a monster in Stranger Things or something. Like he's a real
Yeah.
monster.
Yep.
Um, so we talked about the effect a little bit. This is a totally unique effect still. I can link a Scryfall search to prove it, but there's no other effect that does exactly this. I've always wondered why. It seems like a natural to just stick this on something. Someone actually asked Morrow on his blog a while back about this, but unfortunately he just missed that part of the question, so we don't know why this is totally unique. I wonder if it is that it's a little bit confusing, particularly to a new player. Like there's a lot to unpack here, and used well, it's like pretty annoying. This has really fun combo potential. I'll link a video. So we kind of got pipped to this because like a month ago someone did an incredible like Butcher Org video that I will link from the show notes, that's all about the kind of mechanical potential of this card. So way more in depth there, but this does all kinds of cool things. Like the kind of table stakes one is Death Touch, right? If you have a Death Touch effect on the Butcher Org, it just needs to tap each of your opponent's creatures with 1 damage. So that's like a 6-for-1 every swing, which is obviously super cool. Cool with all kinds of other random effects. Torbran, I think it's fun, +2 damage. So divide this across 6 sources or 6 targets. Again, each of those gets that flat +2 damage. So that's 18 damage off your 6/6. Um, I think it was in that video somewhere or other I ran across using this with Kusari Gama, which I believe is from Champions of Kamigawa. And it's an equipment that says whenever equipped creature deals damage to a blocking creature, this equipment deals that much damage to each other creature defending player controls. So that's 6. I think the math there is this does 6 damage. If you spread it across 6 creatures, all of your opponent's creatures take 6 damage and the blocking ones take 7. So it's basically a board wipe or more or less. So there's lots of ways to turn this into basically like every time this attacks, Plague Wind, which is pretty awesome. And the fact that it requires you to do work to do that, I think is also great. Like it doesn't just hand you that for free, but it is still pretty good on its own, right? If you just are in normal Magic combat, this is gonna win some games. It's gonna close out some things. Just a all around super cool card.
Yeah. I'm still trying to process Kusari Gama here because if
The
it was a
interaction.
6/6, it would just deal 6 damage to everything. Like trained org would do that, right?
No. Wait.
Wouldn't it?
Yes, you're right.
But
But it would do it
I'm
in a way
wondering.
cooler way. Wait a second.
Yeah.
No. Wait, no, it would deal 7 to some of them because the one that's blocked would take 1 plus
Uh huh.
6 from each of the. No, you're
This
right.
is
No,
the
you're
part
right.
that's
It's just
confusing
6.
me. If you spread it out
Oh,
like
no.
6
I was
damage
so
across
excited
6
about
creatures,
this.
would then they
I think
each
you're
take
right. I
one
think you're right.
more?
Oh, no. This is a non-bow? Oh man, I'm so disappointed in this. Uh
I think maybe
um
if you do it that way, it makes it makes Butcher Org worse.
but well, but it makes it the combat math hard for your opponent, not in the sense that they're
And for you.
disadvantaged, but just literally hard. Like they're just going to
Yes,
struggle to
just
understand
like
what's going to happen.
yeah, you need like the red yarn connecting between different creatures to show who's taking damage for what.
Yeah, it's like a psychological win. It's like these people who like tap their lands at like a 45-degree angle instead of a
Mhm.
90-degree angle, or put
Mhm.
their lands in front of their creatures, and these things are legal but they're wrong. Like it's kind of like
Yep.
that. It's just a, a
Yeah.
little dig. Let's pretend
Little
that was my theory.
psychological warfare. Yeah,
Yeah.
like when we play on Cockatrice and you draw like 24 arrows between
Oh my
your
god.
cards and my cards,
We should
you
play this
could
on
do
Cockatrice so
absolutely
I
do
could
that.
draw so many I would have an opportunity to draw so many arrows with this card.
And then I would just press F2 to concede and it would work.
Um the moment when you realized how to remove the arrows, my Cockatrice enjoyment dropped a lot, just for the record.
Yeah. Yeah.
One other fun thing about this card that really surprised me is that this has had like a renaissance in the last year. With the kind of
Hmm.
rise of the pre-modern format, this is starting to show up in like sneak attack, reanimator, survival shells. Not a lot, but like 7 or 8 events. This is top 8 in the last year. Is just like part of that like toolbox for unfair creature cheat out a creature kind of decks. Which is great. I don't think this ever got
That's
any
cool.
competitive play back in the day. So, and frankly, I never would have thought Butcher Org would get a day in the sun. So that makes me very happy.
Yeah. Good job, Butcher Org.
Good job. I mean, rating wise, I don't need to hide the ball. This is an S for me. This is one of my favorite cards of all time. I'm not giving anything lower
Yeah.
than an S. Easy S.
I don't think it ever was as touched my soul as deeply as it did yours. I've got it at an A. Maybe out of a little bit of fear. I can't give an S to something that scares me that much.
It's your
Uh,
childhood fear reemerging. All those
yeah,
Kusuri Gama combos I pulled on you, where I told you, yeah, totally what happens is all your creatures die, discard your
every
hand.
they
That's
all
what it
do,
works
yeah,
out
they
to.
all die, and all your old deck goes to the graveyard.
Even when I block, actually, Connor, that
Yes,
defending player means, in this case, you as well.
it's not me, not me.
Yeah. You are defending against me in the game. That's what it means.
Yeah, see, I can't give that an S.
All right, fair enough. All right. That brings us to the end of our org review. This was I was going to say quick one, but I just looked at the time span. It was a mere 48 minutes, which for us is pretty quick to talk about 4.5
It's
cards.
pretty quick.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. If you remember any of these wonderful guys, let us know. If you can answer whether there is a Kusari Gamma combo that I'm just failing to articulate, like, please comment on that, because I'm starting to doubt all of my abilities to read Magic the Gathering cards. I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Austin.
I'm Connor.
Have a good night.